Hi, and welcome to the Healthy Human Project. I'm Melissa Uchida. Today we're talking about anger and anger's effect on our lives, anger's effect on our relationships, anger's effect on our physical health, and anger's effect on our mental health. Now, anger is not bad in itself. Anger is a really healthy emotion. It lets us know that a boundary's been violated. So it says to us, when we feel that heat start to rise in us, cheeks get hot, ears get hot. You want to, it's like this instant surge of adrenaline, right? Ready to go to war with something. But it's telling us something. It says, oh, someone has violated or something has violated our energetic boundaries. Now, we don't even know these energetic boundaries exist. We might have no idea what our boundaries are, or that we have not communicated them to someone else, that we need to honor our own boundaries. So if we don't know what the boundaries are, right, that we feel comfortable with, then we don't know how to honor them. We don't know how to communicate that to someone else. And people are going to often overstep their boundaries, overstep those boundaries, because there are people that are more of the aggressors, and they don't have awareness of other people's boundaries. And then there are people that don't have awareness of their own boundaries. So let's look at this anger and go, okay, anger. So obviously the country is angry. There's a whole lot going on. Anger is like festering inside of people, and we have to let that anger rise to the surface, to look at it and to release it. That's really important. It's not about stuffing it. It's not about blaming it. Most of us will try to just eat more, or you know uh, blame someone else. And the saying is always like this, right? When we're pointing our finger at someone else, we have three fingers pointing back at ourselves. So our anger is usually an anger directed at ourselves somehow. And it's because deep down, we know that there is something not in alignment with us. We know that we have actually overstepped one of our own boundaries in some way. We are being not true to our values and our priorities in some way. Anger is also, it can be an addictive quality. My husband died because he could, his anger, became such a powerful force. Think of a dam, right? You have a dam, you have all this water that's building, and the water keeps coming in and the water keeps coming in, and the pressure of the dam is there. So if we don't make sure the dam is really reinforced or reduce the pressure somehow, there's going to be, when the water goes through, it's like whoosh, right? It is going to wipe everything out in its path. And that's what anger can do. That seems to be what we're seeing. And I think it's just because people don't know. We don't know what the tools are to quell our anger, to release the anger. And there was this thing, I don't know if it still is, but express yourself. Express yourself by letting your anger out. If you're mad at someone, tell them off, whatever. That is so wrong. That is so not true. That is not how anger, that is not how to reduce anger. What that does is it fuels the excitement, it fuels the adrenaline, and that adrenaline and excitement makes us feel alive. So we go from feeling in this kind of apathetic state, maybe a depressed state, maybe we're not happy with an aspect of ourselves. Really, usually, we're not happy with an aspect of ourselves, and we choose to be angry. We're going to be angry at someone else. We're going to blame them. And it's a pattern that we started as kids, because that's what kids do, because kids can't see from another perspective. But it was a pattern that we started as children with anger, and then we didn't learn how to deal with it as children. No one's fault. It's just the way it is. So now, no matter how old you are, we get to understand a bit about our own anger. And I'll tell you why it's so important for us to address and diffuse our own anger. It's because it eats us up from the inside out. So we have an angry thought. We have a thought. It sends a chemical reaction in the brain, which produces the feeling of anger. It can also then start to produce the justification for the feeling of the anger. So a lot of times when we're angry, we're not angry at what we think we're angry at. We're angry at years, decades of what we perceive as an injustice. The person standing in front of us or the person that we're talking about or thinking about happens to be the target of our anger at that very moment, but that's the tip of the iceberg. So an iceberg is like this, we only see the top of it. All of this other stuff has been collecting over decades, however old you are. It's been piling up on top of each other, and then boom, right? It's a big explosion of anger. Or maybe you don't have, I have that big explosion of anger. That is definitely in my DNA, and that was in my upbringing, this explosive type of anger. My children have it. So we're all working on this anger and what to do with our anger in healthy, constructive ways. Now, anger is not bad. Like I said, yeah, you're angry. People have rights to be angry. Of course, we have the right to be angry. And at the same time, it's not worth making ourselves sick over it. It's not worth making our lives miserable over it. It's not worth making the lives of the people around us miserable. I mean, I woke up yesterday, my kids were angry, I was angry, and I was like, we're still going to go and do everything that we were supposed to do on Sunday morning, and it was interesting to see how the anger, it lasted, and then I was trying to diffuse it, and then it becomes this dance when you have family or you live with other people of how do you handle those. They're not even negative emotions, they're just emotions that are letting us know that something is going on. So anger can come from just not sleeping well, right? That's a huge cause of anger. I didn't sleep well, I don't really want to wake up. It comes from not being, having our body and our mind be in the same place at the same time. So if your body is one place and your mind is another place, whether that's on the phone, whether that's doing something else, whether you're daydreaming, it's the anger can come up because you want to be someplace else, or your mind is someplace other than where your body is. If the body doesn't feel good, oh my gosh, if our bodies are in pain, if our bodies are not healthy, they're not feeling right, or there's fear about it too. We're afraid, what's going on with my body? I don't know. There's this pain, there's this lack of mobility, what's happening? That's scary, right? And that leads to anger. Anger about decades of injustice. Anger about something an ex did 20 years ago, 5 years ago. The anger, unless we go, oh, yeah, okay, that's not important. You know what? I'm not going to be angry. The beautiful thing with anger is that when we look at it, when it shows up, what we can do is we pause and go, okay, I sense that I'm angry. I get it. And before reacting in any way, I'm going to notice I'm angry, acknowledge it, own it, take a breath. It sounds so simple. And I'm saying this right now because I'm not angry, right? It would be very different if I were like, but this is what we have to do. We have to practice when we're not angry so that when you actually get angry, then it's like, oh yeah, okay, I've done this 1,000 times. So now I can do it when I'm in the state of anger, because our brain is not functioning. All of the blood is going, just like in fear, all of the blood runs to our muscles to get us out of danger. Anger's the same way. It's protecting this kind of a sadness. It's protecting a hurt. It's protecting something. Anger is the protector. So when anger shows up, you go, okay, so there's a little something inside me, my little inner child or whatever needs some protection. So what is it that feels unsafe? And then saying, what is it that feels unsafe? Do I feel unsafe in this situation? What boundary has been violated? And maybe there's a place that we need to say, okay, I need to establish some boundaries in this area of my life, because I noticed that whenever this happens, I was noticing this with certain people coming into my home, and I was like, I don't know, why am I getting, and it was just a little too much for me at this time to have too many kids over at one time. I was like, oh, I can handle a couple, and then it's like a little too much. Life is already pretty hectic and crazy. So I'm starting to learn what my limits are too, in terms of what are my own boundaries for myself so that I can function at my best. Now, you might have anger at something else. If we start to trace it and go, oh, where did that come from? And where did that come? What's at the lower part of the iceberg? Because we're only seeing the very top part of the iceberg. When that anger explodes, this is what we don't want. We don't want anger being let out in public. We want to be able to actually, we don't want to let it out in social media. That whole thing about expressing yourself is total BS. There is no, that does not help anything. It does not quell anger. It does not solve anything. What it does is it distracts you and it distracts everyone that you're trying to interact with from the real problem, the real root of the anger, which is not about somebody else, but it's always about something with ourselves. What is it within myself that I am not happy with? And let's start there. Because until we feel good about ourselves, we're not going to be able to fix the country. We're not going to be able to fix anyone else, right? We have to start always with ourselves. So what is it that I'm angry about? What is it that I'm not honoring? When we turn it all back onto ourselves, it allows us, and I'm not doing that in a shame or a blame kind of way. It's turning it back in a reflection kind of a way and simply saying, what is it that I need to change? What change do I need to make so that I can let go of this anger? Sometimes it's a matter of perspective. So our perspectives, we each have our own unique perspectives, POV, point of view, and it's completely unique to you and to me at this very moment, based on our state of being in this moment. So you notice if you have, that's why they say always meditate before eating, because food changes our state of being. Our chemistry actually changes as we eat. So you'll notice your heart might start to beat a little fast. You will have more energy or you might have less energy, but our state changes. So we meditate before eating for that reason, so that we can find out what is our state right now. And then we bring it to this, again, more peaceful, more calm. It's a higher vibration. I'm lowering myself down because it's lowering the emotions, but it's raising our vibration as we do that. And it's an important skill. Every single person on the planet needs to know how to do this with ourselves. It's self-regulation. What state am I in at this moment? And what is the perspective that I have? If I'm tired, if I'm hungry, if I have a lack of, whether it's lack of money, lack of connection, lack of feeling worthy, a lack of belonging, all of these lack of feelings and states and perspectives are going to change our state of being and can increase the iceberg to make more explosions. So how do we notice that we're angry? Look, I didn't even, I knew I was angry. I knew when I was angry, and I had an explosive temper because I thought I could, because I thought that's what, I didn't even know better. I'm mad. I'm going to say I'm mad. But as an adult, as a responsible person, look, with great freedom, and we live in a country where we have a lot of freedom. We have a ton of freedom. We are so lucky. I can buy any one of 30 things to drink. So much freedom. With great freedom comes great responsibility. We have to be responsible for training ourselves, for training our bodies, for training our minds, for training, understanding where our thoughts are, so that we can self-regulate, so that we can bring ourselves down when we need to, we can bring ourselves up when we need to. It's all a matter of choice. And that's something that we don't get. Look, I understand it's so hard when those negative thoughts are spiraling through and they're going around and around and around. It's like pus. It just festers and kind of grows and increases, and we don't even know it. So when we feel the anger, there's no blame, there's no shame. You go, oh, what do I need to do? For me, I like to take a shower. I like to go for a walk. I like to get on my yoga mat. I like to do art, drumming, banging a pillow, yelling. Sometimes I just sit in the car. I used to do this right after my husband died. I would sit in the car and I would scream and cry, and I mean loudly. I drove my car to like a parking lot a little farther away from the house, so that my kids weren't like, oh gosh, what's going on? But this is what you have to do. There is anger. Don't hide the anger, but you don't want to let the anger out on people who don't deserve it. And you might say, but you know what, Melissa, those people do deserve it. They deserve my anger. Is it worth your life? Is it worth your health? Is it worth your enjoyment? Is it worth is it worth it? Sometimes it might be, and sometimes it might not be. It took me a lot of years to find it out. I had to go to reform school. I was sent away. I was in juvie. I was in group homes. I was in reform school for 2 years, and it took about a year and a half for me to understand that my anger and holding on to it, it's not getting angry, it's holding on to the anger, that the anger was hurting me and I wasn't going to get anywhere. And that was, it was because other people were getting out of reform school faster than me. I'm like, why am I here? Now I know a lot of that had to do with insurance companies, and my dad kept me in reform school, which was the best thing in the world for me. I will say it absolutely 1,000% saved my life. And I am so grateful to my dad and my stepmom for that. I wasn't at the time, I was super mad. But today, saved my life, changed my life forever, made me a huge part of what made me into the person I am today. Took a year and a half for me to go, oh my gosh, holding on to the anger is not serving me. I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm not going to ever get out of here till I'm 18 unless I do something about it, unless I learn what they're trying to teach me, unless I start to kind of like be willing to try, be willing to work it a little bit, be willing to be open-minded and to see from another point of view. We can go our whole lives holding on to anger. When we hear someone telling a story about something they were angry about a month ago, a week ago, right? You can kind of go, oh yeah, okay, maybe still mad. But a year ago, 2 years ago, 30 years ago, well, at that point, we really want to look at it and go, what was it? What can I say to this inner child of mine that says, oh, that was terrible that happened to you. That was absolutely so terrible. Should have never happened to you. Whatever the perspective, should have never. I'm so sorry. And we have to say this to ourselves. I am so sorry that happened to you. And honor the anger, honor the boundary that was violated. What do I need to do to create and communicate a new boundary and to honor that in myself? Because most of the time when we are angry, this is what I at least see in myself. When we're angry, it's because I have let a boundary be violated. I allowed it. I'm mad at myself because I allowed it. So it's just, I say just as if it's easy, and it's not easy, but honor it. What have I learned from this? What strengths have I gotten from this? How can I turn my anger? Either let it, or just chop it off, let it go. Just like a sick limb on a tree. Okay, I'm just going to let that one go. Once we start to move spiritually, we start to raise our vibration a little bit more, then we send loving kindness to those that we thought we were angry at. We ask for forgiveness. This is about healing ourselves. It all starts with healing ourselves. I want to show you something my husband made. Pee Wee Herman. So Pee Wee Herman's here. My husband was an artist. And I want you to look really closely. See all these little dots? He's made of millions of little dots. Millions of little dots. You look at them up close, and this is you and me, an individual dot. We're one dot. You and I, one dot. You take it farther away, and whatever the picture is, I love Pee Wee Herman. He made people laugh. Cookie made people laugh. Wanted to make people happy. You look at something from far away, You go, oh my gosh, that's what happens when we find ourselves wrapped in anger. We have to pull away from the bigness of it, remove ourselves just a bit, say, oh, wait, what's the big picture? What's the big picture? What is it that's going to have us? Because we're all in this together. We're all in it together. We don't get to get away from each other, not in this lifetime. We're here. So how can we work together to make some kind of piece of art, to make something beautiful? So this is the beginning of a new focus. Make America kind again. The Maca movement. I heard that from someone else. But Maca movement, that's my yoga school. That's named after my kids, Malia and Kaya. And Kayanu. We're gonna make it a Maca K. Yeah. Make America kind again. And it starts with us. It starts with one person, one dot saying, you know what, today I choose to be kind. Today I choose to acknowledge my anger. I choose to work through and process my anger. I'm not going to let it fester. I'm not going to let it poison me. I'm not going to let it poison my relationships. No matter what you're angry at, no matter who you're angry at, no matter if you say, I'm only mad at this right here and I'm going to put all my anger toward that, I tell you, everyone else around you is feeling it and knows it and senses it, and it's spreading just like an invisible virus. So if we can honor that and each put our own masks on so that we can keep it within ourselves and then release it as needed. Exercise is huge. Exercise is medicine. If you're feeling angry, start drumming. Just go get some drumsticks. Go get some sticks out in the bang on pillows. You don't even need drums. Certainly a stability ball, bang on a stability ball. Just drum. Go for a walk really fast. Put on a video and do high intensity something, even from your bed, even from your chair. Let it out. Arrgh! Kickboxing, whatever it is. Own the anger, channel it in the right direction, release it, and let's each make a commitment to work on ourselves today. It's just to work on ourselves, not trying to fix anybody else. I say this, and yet I'm here, right? But this is what it is. This is what it's about. Look, anger destroyed my family. And I would really love for it to not destroy other people's too. Yeah. Okay. Till the next time. Remember, there's a video that goes with every single podcast. You have yoga, meditation, breath work, some kind of a movement. It's a practice. So each week there'll be a talk and there'll also be a practice. So please do both. All right, until the next time, take care.